Shopping centers across the country have taken several elaborate and impressive measures to provide a safe environment from coronavirus transmission. Retail therapy at the modern temples are now fully ready for the new normal. Shopping Centers Association of India, along with the shopping centers across the country, have devised and implemented state-of-the-art SOPs that address each and every process and aspect of efficient and safe functioning of shopping centers. These guidelines across the country have ensured safety against coronavirus transmission. The guidelines are based on a four-pronged approach addressing key aspects of operation safety and hygiene, social distancing, safe air conditioning, and 100% accountability. Shopping centers, which have been always regarded as extremely safe and secure environment for shoppers and families, are now fully ready to resume operations with several added layers of protection to contain coronavirus transmission. So come back soon for a delightful and safe experience at your favorite mall.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 6th SCAI Monday Virtual Roundtable. Thank you for joining. The recent news from the Ministry of Home Affairs on the opening of shopping centers in some parts of India from 8 June. Our discussion today will be a subject that is top of mind for all shopping developers. Safety first, consumer service. The discussion will also elaborate on the SCAI guidelines for shopping centers to operate in the new normal era. I'm very pleased to welcome our moderator today, Mr. Najeeb Kunil, ED, Pioneer Property Zone Services, Mr. Shrirang Sarda, CEO, Managing Director, Sarda Group, Nashik, Mr. Vardhan, Bansal, Director, Vegas Mall and Unity Group, Delhi, Mr. Sushil Mohta, Chairman, Merlin Group, Mr. Aslam, Packeer, Mohamed, MD, Marina Mall, Chennai. Thank you all, gentlemen, for joining us today on this very exclusive webinar where we're basically going to talk about safety first, which will be the customer service for all of us now going forward. Well, we are on the road to reopening and in a crucial week of preparedness. We must all vow to follow the rules and regulations of the opening stringently in letter and spirit. In addition to the government and public health organizations, we are also accountable to customers, and they must see shopping centers as 100% safe environments to socialize, shop, entertain in. The responsibility on the industry is immense, and we have to be very watchful in our operations and to build consumer confidence responsibly. SCAI SOPs have been developed with a lot of attention to detail and are comprehensive, but it will be each mall's responsibility to see that they are followed in letter and spirit. To the shopping centers that are not enrolled as members of SCAI yet, I would urge them to join us and benefit from the reopenings, do's and don'ts we have already outlined. The SOPs are co-created with India's leading mall management professionals, developers, and they are a must-have for safe opening for our great future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all the people who are watching this. Najeeb, over to you. Let's have a great session. Thank you.
Thanks, Amitabh. Much appreciated. First of all, if I can request all the panelists to put it on mute because we're getting some echo aspect of it from the attendees. Thank you. Amitabh, to begin with, let me thank and congratulate SCAI for all the efforts that SCAI has put in, led by you, in trying to get us the MHA push at all levels collectively, with the driving an agenda with the state and central governments. Thank you very much for SCAI members as well. Let me straight dive into introducing our esteemed panelists who in their own right are successful shopping owners across the 4 geographies of India. Our first panelist, Mr. Sushil Mohta, Chairman of Merlin Group and Director at South City Mall with 2 high trading assets, South City and Acropolis. Merlin Group has completed several residential commercial projects including IT buildings and industrial estates and hospitality, and he's also a founder member of CREDA India. Our second panelist, Mr. Harsh Bansal, Director at Vegas Mall and other retail assets under the Unity Group, totaling to over 10 million square feet in Delhi, a techno-commercial entrepreneur and a passionate retail real estate developer. Third panelist being Mr. Shrirang Sarda, CEO and Managing Partner of the Sarda Group, having interest in multiple industries like dairy farms, Ayurvedic products, CRM services, microfinancing, hospitality, and also retail, has two good assets in Nashik called Zone and City Center. And our fourth panelist, Mr. Aslam Packeer, MD Marina Mall, Chennai, delivered more than 250 million worth value of projects, has a very keen eye towards creating better places through technology. And I am today's moderator, Najeeb, Kunil, CEO of PPZ, a mall development and management company. We operate 8 operational malls and 13 other developments under different stages of construction. Over the last few weeks, we have discussed various topics in our SCAI Mondays session, from retailer outlook to financial institution support, government support, customer behavior, and even touched upon technical safety in all malls through HVAC. We at SCAI had released a set of SOPs, what Amitabh had mentioned earlier, ensuring standardization across malls in the country. These SOPs cover customer and staff sanitization protocols, back-end service movement protocols, safety and hygiene protocols for customers inside the mall, crowd management protocols, HVAC guidelines, social distancing protocols in food courts, social distancing protocols in different stores, different categories, like the hyper will have different ones, food will have different ones, fashion will have a different one. Today, we will continue to demystify another important concern for all our stakeholders, especially our end consumer, which is safety first, customer service. Let me straight dive into the first question. Mr. Mota, this will be for you. Clearly, this is the new mantra as we move forward in our shopping centers, where safety is becoming the first priority. I wanted to touch upon some of the SOPs that you maybe have started preparing at your malls. Could you please let us know on that? Sir, you're on mute.
Thank you, Amitabh. Thank you, Najeeb. We have been in lockdown for over 2 months, and people are really raring to go out. They want to go out, meet people, see things, and experience some retail, experience some cafes. And I'm sure the day the malls will open, we will find a lot of people coming. So having said that, we need to be very careful. We need to have all the preparation and precautionary measure in place. To start with, each one of us must have developed various kind of signages inside the mall, outside the mall, to remind people about various safety and precautionary measure, be it mask, be it sanitizing hands, or maintaining social distance, and not to crowd, and so on and so forth. Our teams are busy, and the efforts have started on a very fast pace since the day the announcement came in, day before or so. And now all the sanitization going on, the fumigation going on, and all this inventory checking happening. And one thing Amitabh said, that each one of us has a duty for safety of visitors and safety of our staff. But I would like to go one step further, that each citizen also has a duty to safeguard himself. It is necessary. Since childhood, we have been, taught certain do's and don'ts, whether we walk on the road or when we get up on a staircase or get down from the staircase. There is a mental alertness. I think each of the citizen has to bring that mental alertness into his mind, that if he has to save himself from the virus, he has to follow certain protocols. And if a citizen is not following it, no matter what we do, what any government does, he is at risk. So to start with, I am suggesting that we all should create a good social media campaign, and if possible, release some advertisements in the newspaper that the malls are safe place. Whatever measures and precautionary measure we have taken, those should be properly explained to the customers so they feel safe to come to a mall. And also, we should also, explain them what are the expectations when they visit a mall. Simple expectations that they need to maintain social distance, they may need to be sure that they are not ill. If there is a fever or they are suffering with the cold and cough, etc., they should not come out, or they should wear a mask, and they should be ready to wait in the queue, and they should be ready to stand in a designated space marked when they are coming in the mall, or when they will be going to the loo, or when they are standing in queue for certain things. Maybe cinema will start there also, there will be queuing and all those things. So we need to create a good social media campaign to create an awareness. Although people know it by now, there has been enough said in on the televisions and all, but still we need to, as a mall owners, we need to create this awareness. And for that, social media is the best thing to start with. And we need to, we have been doing training of our staff, and they need to be regularly reminded, particularly that security and housekeeping staffs who are not so educated. It is very important, like we have the fire drills or we have the security drills every morning briefing in the malls for the staff, because most of these staffs are outsourced also. So there will be a little challenge. We may train 100 people, 20 may go out of duty, 20 new may come. So there has to be continuous process of training. And now the training should ensure this hygiene and this corona safety factors also amongst all those people, that how they are going to protect themselves, how they are going to ensure that they when they interact, or if there is a situation where they have to interact with the customer, how do they maintain the social distance and what all they have to do. So those kind of trainings, etc., we need to inform the customers that they should not come with the big bags, because we would like to have a touchless protocol. When they come, there is no need of frisking. Those the portals we have, those machines, DMFD machines and all, we should have the system as we have in international airports or Bangalore international airports, where there is no need of frisking. The metal detectors are good enough. Then you see, if they don't have bags, then there is no need of checking those bags, and there is no need of coming close to a person. And we need to have proper signages. We need to have proper floor markings. Outside the mall, we need to have crossing those alternate parkings, because as we are going to, as per the SCAI guideline, we are allowing 50% car parks. So alternate car parks need to be blocked, and alternate staircase or 2 steps after each 1 step has to be blocked. All those preparations are going on in most of our malls. So these are the procedures. These are the things which we are doing. The extra thing which I have said is the creating the awareness. We need to create huge awareness. Then marking of various places where the things are available. Like if somebody is looking for sanitizer, then those signage, etc., has to be there. Then we need to bring as much as possible that touchless thing. Keep the doors open so that you don't have to push a door. We need to request the shop owners also that they should not be either they keep their doors open, or if there is a jewelry shop or watch shop where it is required, then they should keep a security guard who can open the doors for the customer, so that the customer doesn't have to touch the handle. So these are the new normals we have to follow to start with. And then there has to be thermal cameras, because it is very difficult when there are a lot of people come to have this handheld thermal gun. So we need to have those thermal camera, as we have seen the airport. So those things we have to install. Some of them are already under installation process. So these are, as far as the entry is concerned, once the first person is coming to the mall.
No, I completely agree with you, Mr. Moda. And I think the important point that you touched upon was the responsibility of every single individual. I think that's a very key, important message that we will have to convey to our customers and everybody who are stakeholders. Everybody has to play a role. And I think that's a very important one. Awareness, I do agree that as much as awareness we create, the airline industry has done it. They have gone out and tried to create the awareness amongst the people on how do they need to enter into an airport, and from there onwards. And I think it will be a responsibility from our end to try and do that bit as well. That is training. Yes, that's a very important one. And contactless. That's going to be the new way we move forward to create contactless experience. And I think from there, I want to jump to my next question. Harshji, this is for you. We have been tracking things around the world where we've been seeing a lot of new technology being used across the world for the same kind of implementation of hygiene and safety for our customers. Is there something new that we are bringing to India, we are adapting to India? Can you please throw light on what you are doing at your malls, respectively, on the technology front, Arjun?
Thank you, Najeeb, and thank you, Amitabh. First of all, Delhi people, we all are waiting for the malls to open. Malls are ideal condition in Delhi. People of Delhi, they love mall very much. In Delhi, malls are not only for shopping. It's a social place. People celebrate their day-to-day life in malls. They come together in the evening. It's not only for shopping, I mean to say that. It's for their day-to-day celebrations. So malls in Delhi, they are certainly hit. People are waiting to malls to open. You rightly said that it's our responsibility that people coming to the mall, they should be safe. They should feel, you can say, in a nice environment. Though, in my personal opinion, malls versus high street, malls are much better safe environment, where we have all controlled everything. We can control the entries, we can control the temperature, we can control everything. And in high street, you can't do anything like that. Coming to your question, the technology, I will say the technology as well as the methodology, both together, we are just, you can say, considering both of them. And to maintain these SOPs, we have divided the mall into three parts. Three, you can say, stakeholders for a mall. The first is the people, the second is the place, and third is the product. So for people, we have four types of people visiting the mall, coming to the mall. The first is the mall staff, which Mr. Mohta rightly said, they are also very important part. Then our outsourced staff, the housekeeping, the security, and then the retailer staff. That's also very important to keep them healthy and safe. And finally, the shoppers. So we have to take care of all the four components of the people. And for them to maintain them healthy or to keep them safe, what we are trying to open mall an hour before the public timing, like we are planning to open mall from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So the mall will open at 11 a.m. for the shoppers, but 10 a.m. for the staffs. So all the staffs, they will be properly thermal screened with the guns, and then there's a questionnaire, which will be, you can say, our team will check that they have history. What's their history? They have cough, they have sneeze, they have loss of taste and smell, they have breathing problem. There are 5-6 symptoms of COVID. Each and every day before they join the duty, they have to go through all this process. And when our team is satisfied that they have safe, there is no symptom, then they will be issued a green band. And this green band will be, you can say, pasted upon on the hand of all the staff. So whenever the shoppers come to the mall and he sees the green band on any of the staff, he feels comfortable. Okay, the staff is properly screened or properly scanned. It gives a comfort to the customer. And for the shoppers, you can say, basically, they have to wear mask. There is no doubt about that. Everyone has to wear mask. Then there will be temperature screening and look and go camera. It's a new, very new and very simple look and go camera. You just look into the eyes of the camera. If the temperature is okay, it will give you green sign and you can go in. And then you have to download the Arogya Setu app, which is now mandatory everywhere. And you have to maintain the social distancing also. What we are trying, Najeeb, that all the SOP, which I will share you in the next part, should be easy to implement. There should be no big technology. It should be easy. What we are trying, not to download app for everything. It should be QR based actually. So easy to implement and easy to follow. It should be very easy. So what we are doing for the people, we have divided entire staff into 3 layers. The first layer of the staff, which will have direct contact with the customer. So they will be wearing PP kit. Those are very few ones who are just on the entrance and you can the direct contact to the customer. They will be wearing PPE kit. The second layer, which is the main layer, they will be serving the people with some distance. So they will be wearing face shield, mask, as well as gloves. So these are three items they are now allowed to, they are advised to wear. And the level 3 is the staff which are in the CCTV room, engineering room, or the back of the house. They will just wear the mask only. There is no need to wear the rest of the things. So this is the, I can say, of the staff. The technology and the methodology for the, I can say, place, which is the main place, the mall. We have some of the things which we already implemented. Those are very simple one. Number one, all the main door of the mall, there is no door at all. All are now converted into sliding doors. So you don't have to open, neither the guard has to open the door, nobody has to open the mall. So there should be, there are sliding doors only. Number two, we have around 200 stores in Vegas Mall. All 200 stores have been advised to remove all the gates, you can say. When there is no gate, like Mr. Mota said, there is no gate, there is no handle, there is no contact. So out of 200, around 180, they have already removed the gates. So there is no gate there. And rest of them, they have been advised to keep their doors open. So it gives you double benefit. Number one, the shoppers they have seamless experience. The customer can go anywhere and can come out and can go anywhere. And number two, there is no contact at all. When you enter into a mall, there is no contact at all. You can enter through a sliding door. You can go to any shop. You don't have to open, you can say, any door. And then coming to the next point, what we have done. We have marked the entire corridors with the center line and organized the movement of the shoppers. So there is no crisscross in the corridors. Like Najeeb, if there are 10,000 people in a mall, they are in a haphazard way, and the same 10,000, if they are regulated in a proper manner, in a proper queuing system, proper social distancing, they can even, you can say, much better environment. And what we are doing, the technology, you are asking technology. First of all, we have just installed a Dalpo company synchronized counting machine. This counting machine is synchronized with all the entry and with all the exits. What we have done, we have divided into the entire mall by 75 square feet per person, which is the guideline of SCAI. So the entire mall, we have a limited number of people. Those number of people is feed into that system. So like, I give you an example of Vegas, 9,500 people are allowed to be in the mall all time. So that camera, the system is synchronized with all our entry. So whenever there is a 9,500 people entered into the mall as per their counter, the beep will come, even with 50 people before that. And as many as people exit from the mall, and it will allow further to people come in. So that's a very good technology. Nobody has to just count. Nobody has just to check. It's a very simple counting machine, which is synchronized with all the entry and the exits. Coming to the next point, what we had done, we had just put all the contactless sanitizers dispensers, which is now available everywhere. So all the corners, all the points near to the entry, near to the toilet, near to the escalator, all the lift lobbies, everywhere there is a contactless, you can say, sanitizer dispenser. Contactless is the main key, as Mr. Botha rightly said. The main key is don't touch anything unnecessarily. It's a contactless environment. The third point which we had done, the main thing is the escalator. People are afraid to touch the handrail of the escalator because everybody touches that escalator's handrail. So what we have just installed, it's a UV rays based, you can say, sterilization of handrail, and it is being installed by the escalator manufacturer only. It is not being installed by third party because there is a warranty problem and all. So this is being installed. It's very easy. It's around 1 lakh rupees per escalator for both the handrails. So these are being installed in the shoe of the escalator where this rails comes out. And the UV rays in the red color, they in the blue color rather, they just sterilize the handrail. So handrail rolls out, and when it comes back, it's automatically being sterilized. So it's contactless. There is no need to touch anything. Besides that, you have to leave, you can say, 2 steps in between. That's a social distancing procedure. And then in the lifts also, the capacity have been reduced to 25%. All the lifts, it's been allowed 20 people, 20% capacity. It's 25 divided by 5 means around 4 to 5 people allowed, including the lift operator. So there is a lift operator in every lift, and he will be proper, you can say, thermally scanned and with the gloves and the shield, and he will only press the button for the shoppers. What we are coming next is the Alexa enabled command also. If there is no, you can say, lift operator, all the switches will be Alexa enabled. You just call Alexa, Alexa press 4, the button will be pressed 4, Alexa press 3, Alexa close the door, like that. But Alexa will not open the door. The door will be opened by the lift command only. So these are the basic few things. One more thing which is very, very, you can say, important. We have just installed a very good, very economical version of toilet safety. So it's a safe seat hygiene covers. It's installed by a company. What it does, it automatically, intelligently self-cleaning toilet seat cover. When you use a toilet seat, and when you flush it, it senses, and it can say lays the cover of one plastic cover over the cover. So whenever the new customer, new shopper, new user is in, he will find a plastic sheet wrapped on the toilet seat cover. And when he goes out, then again press the flush, it will go again to the back, and the new one will come up. These are the new contactless, you can say, use of toilets. Then for the car parking also, we have very good QR code based system. In this system, you don't have to touch the parking, you can say, pillar. Just scan the QR code. It will automatically come the entry in your mobile. And whenever you go out, you can pay by, you can say, e-wallet or something like that. So you don't have to touch anything for the parking also. And top of this, the best one, now in food court, we have just appointed a, you can say, digital platform, which is very good for ordering of the food. It's a very simple QR code based .pay company platform, where if you scan the QR code in the food court or anywhere in the mall, all the menu of the, you can say, food court counters will come up there, and then you can select them and you can pay through e-wallet. Those payment will be directly paid to the counters. So it's very easy to implement this. So what I mean to say that sometimes the system are very complicated. We have to, you can say, select the system which are easy to implement and easy to follow. So these are some of the, you can say, systems. What we had did more, Najeeb, now, we have, you can say, earmarked the isolation chamber also, the isolation zone, you can say. There is the isolation zone, with a team of, you can say, trained people. If somebody in the shoppers or staff feel uncomfortable, they can come to the particular zone. And that quick response team, they are well trained, they will immediately attend him. And if they feel, they can call the ambulance, or they can call the hospital guys. That's very important, because you should feel that I'm in a safe environment. If, God forbid, something happens, there is some zone where we can, you can say, immediately contact them. That's for the places. Finally, for the product. Should I continue? Or
so Bansal, I think the points what you have raised, first of all, congratulations for all of these aspects of it that you are trying to add, because we've seen these, if these are being implemented in India, it means that we have progressed against whatever is being going around in international standards. And I think it's going to be commendable to try and see how do we implement these things. A very important point that you touched, simplifying communication to the customers, because we know that they are not as well educated on the mall space per se, like how we are from the industry are. And I think communicating that to the customer is going to be an extremely important aspect of it that is there. Technology everywhere, contactless everywhere seems to be the new norm. Effectively, I like the whole idea of Alexa being there. I'm presuming Alexa has got used to all our Indian accents today, having been in India for quite some time. So I'm hoping that that system works as well. And there are some few questions that have come, but I'll raise that towards the end for you, Bansalji. Amongst the people, which is today's concern, and also something that this virus, unfortunately, is also spreading through the contact of people. And in that context, Shrirang, if I could reach out to you on the third point, because of the number of staff that we have, and I know for a fact that there are between 800 to 1,200 staff that are working in our shopping centers, with people coming from all aspects of it, and they're coming from all backgrounds that we are not able to control at their back end. We can control what's there in the front end when they enter our premises. How are you approaching this as far as staffs are concerned, because of all staffs across all stakeholders that bring to the mall?
So I think a lot of points have been covered before this by both the panelists earlier. But one of the other things we are doing in addition, just to make sure we identify all the issues that need to be dealt with, we are trying to understand the journey of every kind of stakeholder. So whether it's a person who's coming to only deliver goods to the mall, or whether it's a person who's a part of our mall staff, or retail staff, or a shopper, actually, really, to my mind, everybody's a human being in that sense. And therefore, everybody's a vector for the virus in some ways, and everybody has to be protected, in all cases. So two things. We think the COVID is going to be around for a while. It's not a 1 month, 2 month phenomena. So we have to be equipped, and we have to learn to function with this as sort of efficiently or as effectively as we can function, instead of sort of saying life has come to a pause and therefore everything has to be now affected. So having said, so what we are hoping to do is what we are doing as a tool, as a technique, is we are plotting the journey of every stakeholder through through the whole mall. So if you imagine one axis as the locations of the mall, the other axis as a stakeholder, and then to see how does this person move around, where do they go, what do they do, what is the use case here, and in that use case, what can we do for social distancing, what can we do for sanitization, what can we do for disinfectant. Those are the things we are trying to. So for example, to me, the whole idea that a security guard at the back end where the goods are delivered, and where the loading unloading bay comes, for example, what are the initiatives to be done there, how does it work there, what are the operational issues that will come there, but we have to actually make it operational, and we have to make it efficient. So the idea is to identify each, just like we do in the digital realm, where we take journeys of stakeholders or user journeys. We have different kinds of use cases, and we have user journeys, and sort of use that as a tool to identify all that can be done, Najeeb.
I think it's a very important point that you've touched, Shrirang, because what I'm hearing from what Mr. Bansal said, along with what you have said, it seems like technology, which has been, not welcomed completely by the shopping center community so far, is an inevitable process that we will have to move into. And whether it's the communication with the customer, or mapping, as you said, mapping a journey of all the stakeholders that are walking into our shopping centers. And in that case, I would even assume there's an entire retailer SOPs that are being driven to ensure that they follow a certain bit of it from their end as well. So that's
one more additional point in this. If I were to give the analogy of driving and traffic, that to fix our traffic, are we going to fix our vehicles, or are we going to fix our drivers, or are we going to fix our traffic overall system design?
Sure.
Which of these elements is actually the root cause? Because one is a technology side, which is the tools. The technology gets you better cars. The other is a behavioral side, which is all the people and how they behave, which is what Mohtaji also touched upon earlier. Every person has to take responsibility for not just for themselves, but actually for people around us also. in some ways. And the third part is our system designed in a way that enables people to function effectively.
Yeah.
So I would look at all three angles and then plot the user journeys to say what behavioral change is required, what technology change is required, and what design change is required in that sense. So that's the other one more layer on top of that.
No, but as I was, yeah, but absolutely. And as I was saying, it is effectively the merger of technology to what we have as our hard development, and mall itself will be the new way moving forward, whether it's a back end or there's a front end.
So this is systems thinking, Najeeb. If you want to put a label to it, it is systems thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
In some ways.
It's what Mr. Mota said, and all the three panelists so far. I think a lot of our attendees, viewers, and me as manager as well, one of our biggest concerns when we see all these OPEX and CAPEX driven additional factors that get added becomes a big question mark of cost, whether it's the cost on CAPEX or whether it's the cost of OPEX. And I believe that we are sitting in a dilemma where we are trying to control both aspects of it while our industry is still to go back into its normalcy. And at the same time, we cannot compromise on any of the facts that are there from a safety perspective point of view. And Aslam, if I can drive this question to you, in line of the hygiene direction that we need to take, what do you think would possibly be the cost impact, either CAPEX or OPEX, that would be something that we all will need to be mindful of? Because that is something that we have to plan against to ensure the implementation. Because I think key point what Amitabh had mentioned right up front, it's the implementation of the SOPs that have been driven as a guideline, responsibility driven by all mall owners. And it is not just the association driving it, but every single mall owner ensuring that the implementation takes place. But I think it's important for some of them to know what is the impact of cost do you see relatively either in the CAM or additional CAPEX that you could throw some light on, Aslam?
Yeah. So, hello everybody. Before diving into the question, just wanted to give perspective of what a mall is, right? Mall is one of the I think social infrastructure where people spend time. So I think this, in a broader context, all of us have to understand. Thus, that being said, I think with all the panelists, whatever they've told, mall plays a very important role in communicating this to the public. So I think this is one of the things people will get educated as they come to the mall, because they will definitely find the new normal being practiced and conveyed in the best manner possible. So I think definitely airports are the place, but definitely airport is such a large crowd entertaining area. They will not be able to do that in a much more methodical manner. So I think malls will definitely play a strong role in this, and SCAI taking a strong effort. And so all of us will be, I think the good proponents will be doing this in a very strong manner. Okay, now coming to the specific of the question, yes, there is cost related to it. But with regard to the new normal, so common sense today, a definition of common sense has changed, right? Today, how we wearing mask becomes a common sensical act today. So like this, things will come. So for a mall, CAPEX will be, yes, there will be some amount of CAPEX, which I think mall owners will carefully take, because not everybody will splurge technology in. They will definitely take calls with, what is the cost benefit analysis and recovery basis with everybody, all the stakeholders in hand. And then, of course, finally, hygiene and safety aspect to the public at large, or the stakeholders, like how basically Sarda had mentioned. So I think that being thing, OPEX, yes, in terms of sanitization, in terms of this, there will be a minor thing impact during this operation. But I think most of it will become a new norm. Say that definitely, like how Mr. Harsh sir said, UV treating of your elevator, escalator, handrails, all these things will become, I think, part of cleanliness. I think we need to go with this, in the forward. And cost will be amortized also, because you will open with one shift, right? So definitely there is cost coming down. So you will also want to, because with limited number of people, limited business. Only thing is, it will be quality business. So definitely today, retailers will have paying customers coming in. So you will not have window shoppers. It will be very less of window shoppers. It will be more of really basically wannabe shoppers. They will come in. So definitely today, I think for the time and thing, it'll really show. We will also learn much more in terms of data. And then OPEX, if you see consumables, yes, you have to. I think this will get shared by all stakeholders, and that's it. I think more. I think it'll keep coming, and you can we'll get from other people as well. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think important aspect was the cost on the OPEX part will be shared across all stakeholders, can't be compromised. I think you touched upon an important point over there that the cost can be controlled a little bit in the opening stages because you may open, and I've heard a lot of retailers and developers speak about the fact that there will be a one shift opening that may come to begin with. And subsequent to that, we may move into a little more of a relaxed open aspect of it. So those you're saying that will have a little bit of a balanced impact, if I can simply say. And I agree with you as well. I'm not too sure whether all will be able to splurge like what Mr. Bansal has committed as far as the technology is concerned, but it will be especially in the 2 tiers and 3 tier cities where a lot of people are not able to depend. But the guidelines that have been defined by SCAI in the SOPs that have been there, and I urge a lot of the developers to reach out to those guidelines because they cover a very detailed SOP across the board.
It's very practical. It's very practical. It's not cumbersome. It is very practical, I think, and it's very affordable in the sense.
And as mentioned as well, they're simple to implement. So even if technology is not necessarily your partner to begin with, the SOPs driven components are going to be extremely important to implement because those two things together, you will still get your end result by the end of the day, effectively to be cost effective as well as being efficient to deliver what we want on the safety front that is there. Great. I think, I'm getting a lot of questions coming in, and a lot of them also have to do with the fact, though it's a good problem to have in our industry with crowd always there, because footfall was always a driving factor for a very long time. Today, our perspective of looking at it will be a little different. And I think that will be important to try and see how do we address it. And with that, I want to move to my second set of concern that people have been raising. And more important, to give comfort to the consumers who are coming into our space on how we're managing it. So crowd management, we've been asked a lot of questions from the authorities at all levels saying that how do we ensure crowd management at all aspects of it? And Mr. Mota, if I can lead this to you back, there are two parts of it. One is the outside management of crowd, one is the inside management of crowd. And if I can say on the outside, when we are expecting people to come in, how would we manage the crowd, especially weekends, which is our targeted aspect of it that is there? How do you look at it, or what is the planning going on around in your malls, Mr. Mota?
Well, with regard to the crowd management is concerned, I think, it is a blessing in disguise kind of situation because right now, it's not a very high season of shopping. Maybe that after a month, they will start end of season sale, which normally they used to start by 15 July or so. So maybe that in 1 month's time or so, we will have enough time to have experience of how many people are coming and which hours they are coming and how they are interacting, how they are behaving. So maybe in a week's time or 10 days time, we'll have enough experience and knowledge bank to maybe redesign our SOPs or certain systems because we will be experiencing for the first time. One thing I would like to say with this Capex and Opex thing which was going on, this discussion which was going on, we will definitely have more operational cost because I think our manpower requirement will increase. You will require more managers and executives outside the mall, inside the mall, to handle the customers particularly when there is a crowd, to have the troubleshooting, to regulate them, and then similarly you will have more housekeeping people to sanitize or to if you don't have the automatic dispenser of sanitizer, I don't know this automatic dispenser all China made, how much life they have, because in shopping center this auto run thing or sensor based things are always we have those sensor based taps of Gabrit and all the German taps, but still we have to regularly maintain it. Regularly they go out of order because sometimes people do not handle them properly. So we will have those technology in place, but at the same time we have to also understand that what kind of crowd we are dealing with. In a mall, all kind of people are coming. We will have a lot of human intervention. It will be required. It cannot be ruled out with whatever technology we have. We will definitely employ the technology. But I think, and particularly for crowd management, this camera system should help us, this camera counting, with this head counting of cameras while people coming in, coming out. Then we should have those one-way system. One set of doors for people to come in, one set of doors to people to go out, so that the cameras can capture exact numbers and they can calculate with the help of software, as Mr. Bansal was saying, and they can trigger the alarm. So there will be definitely a lot of entry and exit protocols we have to maintain to have the crowd management. Some of the malls, like one of our mall like South City, have got about 9-10 entries. We have parking parallel to our mall, so each floor is connected to 2 levels of parking. We have 1400 parking with the 8 lakh square feet of trading area approximately, and each floor is connected to the parking, so there are entry points. So we are lucky that way, that they will not be crowding in one particular level. So we have to manage dispersing the crowd in different location, and then having the counting done, the in and exit and entry, and then direction within the mall also. We have to ensure that when people have come, and suppose if if the toilet has capacity of 4 people or 5 people maintaining this social distance, then there has to be a security guard who has to regulate traffic. So I mean to say that we will have to have more people to manage the crowd, and then we will also be requiring this lot of upgradation of our system. In fact, I think this crisis will throw open a lot of new opportunity. Maybe a lot of upgradation will take place with the technology, as Mr. Bansal was saying, and we will go to the next level of management with more technology, which more contactless kind of thing, and whether it is inside when the person is coming, or whether he's using any facility in the mall, or whether there's Alexa based and all those things. So the crowd management will be with technology, with human intervention. Both human intervention will be required. I would like to say this.
Sure. No, and I'm presuming, Mr. Mota, that when the crowds are, and as I said, it's a good problem to have. But when they are outside, Delhi places like Delhi and the North India having very harsh summer seasons, I'm presuming that all of y'all also, and all mall owners, would have some kind of facilities on the outside, so that the people in the waiting are created with some kind of
I forgot to mention that we have arranged some kiosks where one can have tea, coffee, or some soft drinks, etc. One can buy a mask from there, and there are always in most of the malls we have those planters with granite slabs where one can sit, maintaining of course the social distance, etc. There also we have to do the necessary marking, so that people do not crowd on those sitting areas. And we have to also, again, if the car parking lots are full, we have to tell them that please take a round and come in 5 minutes. So those are the initial things. After a week or so, we will be able to understand the exact situation. But Najeeb, I don't think that we will initially have that many crowd, because people will come, but since cinemas are not operating, and a lot of people will be a bit careful. They will not venture out on the first day. So we will have time to, understand and study and plan accordingly.
No, I think correctly said, Mr. Mota, and Aslam also mentioned that, this is where the serious shoppers will really come in, the people who have got the need of what it is. You correctly said that it's not the high season right now, which is kind of come a blessing. But as we move towards the season of the year, between October to December, I think we will all have analyzed and come to some kind of learning and experience from on what we would have
intervene here. No, it is just not October. You will have end of season sale, and a lot of people have been waiting. There is a pent-up demand, and people will come, and you can see that it's like a Diwali or Durga Puja kind of season when the end of season sale starts. So we need this ourselves for that.
Absolutely. No, completely agree. It's extremely important that with all the safety aspects that we have discussed over the last 40 minutes, it is also important that we come from a little bit of a hospitality, customer experiential background, where maintaining that balance with the customers is going to be extremely important. And I think that's the mindset we will all have to go with, having the safety and the customer experience merged together. Bansalji, there is the whole bit of it that we've got the whole crowd being planned. We can create the facilities on the outside. We can control them, as Mr. Mota said, through counting machines that are there effectively. But from that perspective, when they are inside the mall, and then we have got stakeholders like the retailers who are part of the mall, where we need to now start addressing their requirements of crowd management. Overall, and we've got areas inside the mall like food courts, toilets, a ground floor especially, where people crowd a little bit more relatively to the other floors. How do you think that we can bifurcate that entire system inside the malls to manage the crowd, Mr. Bansal?
Najeeb, I think by maintaining the basic standard, we can So as you rightly said, we have limited number of people which are governed by our entry. Suppose 10,000 people are inside a mall. Now, if you are following the basic thing in a mall is a zoning. So if you have divided the mall into a proper zoning, like in our Vegas mall, we have men's zone at first floor. So the entire first floor is dedicated to the men's only. The second floor is dedicated to the women and the kids only. And the third floor is cinema as well as the food. And the lower floor, the -1 is dedicated to the hyper as well as the home and all stores. And ground floor is the international fashion stores. So if you have divided your mall into a proper zoning, then there is no crowd at all. This entire mall, the entire crowd is divided equally into all the floors. So if you want to buy the men's clothing, you certainly go to the men's floor. You want to buy the women's clothing, you will certainly go to the women's floor and the kids' floor. So by keeping the basic things, by keeping this, you can say, zoning, you can certainly maintain the crowd. And then with the technology, there are the cameras available. Though I agree with Mr. Mota and Mr. Shrirang that cost also plays a big role in implementing technology. Otherwise, there are cameras available who can, you can say, advise the controller that this part of the heat, they are known as heat thermal cameras. So this part of the mall, there is a lot of people are there, you can say like that. But those are very costly technology. I think by maintaining the number of people inside the mall, and secondly, by dividing them into properly zone and using the QR-based system, like I mentioned in the food court, if there is a QR code available there, there is no need of any queuing outside any kiosk. So you are shopping anywhere and you have installed QR code in the pillars of the mall. So anywhere you can just scan the QR code, you just place your order well before you arrive to the food court. And by the time you reach to the food court, your order is ready. So I mean to say that if you keep the basic things, and outside also I would like to add some more points, like Mr. Mota was mentioning. We are just coming with some, you can say, innovative idea, like we are providing a car sanitization system outside of the mall. You just pay 100 rupees and that company will sanitize your car in just 20 minutes. So if you have time, you just go to that corner, just ask him, pay rupees 100, and you can sanitize your car, you can clean your car, and we can provide lots of kiosks which can give, you can say, soft drinks and masks, sanitizers, and there can be some activity also in the evening time. So it's not so difficult for the mall owners to manage the crowd. We all know the crowd of 25th December, Christmas. Every mall, there are around 3 to 4 times crowd in the mall. So the mall owners, they know basically to manage the crowd. I don't think any doubt in that. But if you keep the basic thing intact, your staff is well trained, your things are, proper signage is there, proper system is implemented, the basic thing, you can still manage the crowd very well. And as earlier panelist said, this is not a very high season for the shopping, but still people are, particularly Delhi people, they are eagerly waiting, they are missing the shopping mall, because in summertime, people love to spend a lot of time in the malls, not only for shopping, for entertainment, for, you can say, FEC, as well as lots of social gathering. So in particular, Delhi, there's a good rush in the malls all the time, and by keeping the basic thing, you can still manage the crowd. I don't think any difficulty in managing the crowd. It's a happy problem, rather, I will say. I also agree with Mr. Mota that These are the very early stages. And after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we all will know how much response we are getting, how much people we are getting. And then certainly we can enhance our overall security system and crowd management.
Now, so I'm hearing three things coming out of what both of you have said. Basically, dispersing the crowd seems to be a good idea with regard to at least if you have multiple entries so that you're not crowding each area that is there. Your single entry exits, both Mr. Mota and yourself said that, inside the corridors, you want to queue it so that there are people entering and exit at the same, not colliding into each other. Whereas even the entry and exit, you have different entries and different exits that are there. But importantly, that while we are doing all of this, while the customer waits, we have to entertain and engage the customer as well, so that they do not go disappointed in any form, in any aspect of it, in whatever manner that we know best in our shopping centers. Shrirang, if I can jump to you, and earlier when we were discussing, you brought in a very interesting topic of an app that you are developing, and I would love the attendees to hear from you as well on what you're planning, to seem very, very up there and completely driven for all the stakeholders. Please, I'll leave it to you, please.
So this sort of came, Najeeb, the thought came from the fact that we want people who come and visit the mall to be relaxed. And we want this to be a relief in this really heavy and, very difficult times for most people, where the good news is not really forthcoming at the moment. Nothing is, whether in the health front, whether on the economic front. So can the mall be a relief? And can the mall provide that island like we provide relief on social infrastructure for the city, right? So where we become a social public place in some ways. And how do we then therefore ensure inside also with little policing, or with as little policing as possible, and with as little oversight as possible, we kind of try and get the social distancing right? And for that, the way we are conceptualizing it, and we will know this, I will soon know, I think in a day or two. I'm hoping to know the costs involved, and I'm hoping to know the timelines involved. Can't be very complex the way we are imagining it, or at least I hope not. Is we logically define an area in the mall. So whether it's a washroom, whether it's a store, whether it's a passage, whether it's a lift, any which way we want to conceptualize an area, and somehow either through Bluetooth sensors or either through QR code readers, have people scan, either passively or actively scan them as they're entering and exiting an area. So we can generate a heat map for every area. If you do it optically, it's reasonably expensive. But if you do it, and then of course, the logical extension of that is there can be a red or green sign. So suppose if there are already 3 shoppers inside a shop where their capacity is only 3. So if the 4th one is trying to enter, when they scan it, hopefully the scanner or their app can tell them they can't enter, they have to wait for somebody to exit, and so on. We're also hoping in that same app to build in a time for booking a slot to visit the mall. So just like we book cinema shows, can we book a visit to the mall? So that it's, your parking is also kind of known to you. You can also, I'm hoping we can actually give them a designated parking spot when they book their slot. They don't even have to look for parking in some ways. And so that allows us to regulate, and we can also display a calendar on saying what other alternative slots are available. You can pick which is convenient for you, and so on and so forth. I'm reasonably sure we won't need to charge for coming to a mall. I mean, that'll be a little out there as an idea. But can we, and the same app can be extended for contactless payments and stuff like that within at least the parking area, and so on and so forth. I'm not too sure.
So it kind of becomes a universe that you're creating around your system on your handle, basically.
Yes.
From what we
yes.
do.
So you provide a digital sort of interface for the physical interface also. Yeah.
And is this restricted to the customers? Is it restricted to the retailers, or is it the universe?
Actually, everybody. So the retailer staff will also have to scan. The mall staff will also have to scan, because ultimately it's a human being, right? You have to account for, and your density is based on human beings in that area. It doesn't matter what label are they wearing on their shirt. In some ways, I suspect this will not be too expensive. I don't know the hardware, but I again suspect the hardware also will not be too expensive. It's not that crazy. If you sort of apply a little bit of mind, I think it can be brought to not too expensive parts.
No, in fact, today's conversation is going very much in the line with I would have liked to have seen 2-3 years ago. The technology and the mall meets together with either it's shopping, or either it's communication, or either it's any kind of efficiency usage, which seems to be the way forward in the near future, just to make our lives efficient. I'm looking at it, right? So, which is great sign, and I think that's the way forward.
And also, in a way, give them experience which is less intrusive and less police-like.
Sure.
Right. Otherwise, the relaxing and the hospitality part will not come through. In some ways.
That's for sure. Yeah. And I think important aspect that you raised, that, and then, I've got a lot of messages come in as well. And Aslam, I'll direct this to you. A lot of people have been saying, should we be adapting to for our at least a high-end users who are our frequent users? Should we allow them some kind of a special entry? Should we give them a special pass? Should we give them the booking slots that Shrirang just mentioned? And should we give them a preview? Like, all during the end of season sale, retailers send a preview and retailers give that high spender a little bit of an advantage. Should we be adapting something of that across? And are there platforms in the market? I mean, Shrirang is developing his own, but I'm sure for everybody else, it'll be something around where it'll be more largely used. Are there platforms that are being used currently for booking slots or any way of giving options for customers to choose to come to the mall that is there or to the store, maybe?
Yeah. So, Najeeb, continuing. So I was saying, right, there will be serious shoppers. So there will be, of course, normal people who want to spend time as well. So just to differentiate and give that kind of comfort, like Shrirang had said, basically there are technologies available. I mean, people are coming out, large players are coming out with, slotting time. But I think basic data, all malls can capture, right? For example, in your exit, your security guard or your parking dispenser guys can capture data of how many people are going out. I mean, from your bikes and four-wheelers, how many people are leaving the mall. So that is important data which can get back from the system, saying how many people are in the mall, right? So that's a fundamental thing. Similar data from your anchor stores, say like Spar, any hypermarket or any lifestyle. So when people are leaving, right, you can always collect the data. That's a very important data as to how many people can get it, right? That I'm saying as a data, and all malls will definitely need to collect this data to make these apps work, right? Basically, apps need data to function, and data is the gold mine of today's world. We need to be commonsensical in terms of collecting these data, and apps are available. Yes, thing. And today, I think malls will definitely, micro market malls will really flourish with apps. The app will flourish in the sense if a mall has a very, for example, 5 to 6 kilometer or 10 kilometer, there's no mall, and they have a very strong micro catchment. I think apps will make a lot of sense in retaining and communicating to the customer. All these things. I think that the touch points are a thing. And for example, one of the things we've installed in our mall with ANP, automatic number recognition, number plate recognition technology, the car park. So people can, when the car comes in, the time slot is already taken. When they go out, seamlessly they can pay. They don't need to wait in the queue. Digital payments are opened up. Of course, wherever cash is there, cash has to be given and stuff. But human interaction has been lessened to a great extent. So I think technologies are there, knowledge base. I think SCAI can play a big role in collaborating this, passing the information on, so that, what good one has done can be, so instead of reinventing the whole wheel again, I think, for example, in our mall, we are trying to, in food court, one of the things like what Swiggy has done, right? So we have an app where you go to you come inside the mall, the app is there, menu is there, whatever counter you want to order food. The moment you order the food, we'll get a feedback from the retailer, from the food court counter, whether they've accepted the order. Because that's an important part. And when the order is ready, so that they can come and pick it up at the right time. So things like this, usage of time, lesser interactions, digital payments. I think this will be and this will set the route forward. I'm not saying this is only for the COVID time. This will definitely, be in the long run, because people will get used to this, right? Habits are, when people like it, they will make it a habit. So I think that is where technology will play, and there are things. I'm sure something like Book My Show, what's happened in for Inox and other things. It will definitely be there for the malls as well. So and for integration, malls have to play a strong role because too much of apps and data shouldn't be there. So I'm saying at the end of the day, that is where the mall should be the basically pivotal point to say if retailers are collecting some data. If we are collecting some data, how do we bring it in a common thing so that the customer is having a very seamless experience? So they're not bombarded. They can't have interacting with too many apps, right? So it doesn't make. So we need to make it easy for them. I think players like you, PPZ, all of you will. I think QR code is a fundamental, phenomenal idea where they can come to the counters. QR code, a lot of interaction can happen there, and relevant messages can pop through. So I think
just to sort of add to what
yes,
Aslam was saying, we actually had a dialogue with Book My Show. They can and they are more than happy and willing to do this for the malls. The challenge is who owns the data there, and we kind of got stuck with that, and we were reasonably sure that didn't work for us, at least what was on offer, and which is why we thought it's not so complex to do actually, so it can't be done. And there is another in another hat I wear. There is an organization that I work with very closely. We have done this for hospitality industry, and maybe it's time to look at if we can do this for for malls as well. But there is a whole loyalty program that is run on apps, and it is vanilla, sort of white labeled completely for the hospitality brand. So something similar maybe can be done for malls, Aslam, I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah.
No, I think everybody is speaking a similar language, and I've said this already a couple of times already, and I'm just trying to gather some of the questions that have been raised. We've got a few more minutes to go. Amitabh, if I'm right, I'm not too sure whether we've lost time, but we've discussed things like footfall counters. A lot of people have asked on what kind of systems there are there which calculate footfalls, but I think if I can just collectively just put everybody's point, there are service providers who are providing cameras that are providing footfall on both entries and exits at this point of time. The HVAC system, a lot of people have raised the point on the HVAC system, but as the SCAI sessions that we've done in the past, what is very clearly come out in those sessions is that our controlled environment of HVAC systems are a lot better than the open environment, but in either ways, I think wearing and having the responsibility of wearing the mask for everybody to individually protect themselves is anyways a key important exercise that everybody should be following. Some people even ask me, should we be telling people not to get cash, because cash is a very easily transmitted aspect that is there. With technology, with everybody speaking around, seems to be that the contactless pay will go forward.
Najib, I'm not so sure it's legal. Najib, sorry to interrupt, but I'm not so sure it's legal to refuse to accept cash.
I agree with you completely. I'm not too sure in the Indian market context it will be really even possible.
It's not possible, yeah.
Sanitize it and so on and so forth. But yeah, but it was a question that was asked that I don't think it's possible to let go of cash aspect of it. And I think the VIP passes is what Aslam spoke about a bit. I'm going to summarize some of the points that we just discussed, and I think important ones, especially that awareness, what Mr. Mota said, awareness to the consumer is extremely important, where we keep educating them on and on with regard to what are the basic, simple things that we need to follow, and not a complicated set of guidelines that we follow at the mall that is there. Contactless, I think that's the new mantra, if I have to call it, and not necessarily just the customer experience and safety, but contactless seems to be the new mantra that we may be going ahead, whether it's through technology or through manual SOPs that have been driven. As I said, I'm very happy that tech and malls are going to merge eventually to give us the results that all of you four panelists have spoken about, because I see that the future of managing our consumers are driven by a tech-based platform, and our consumers are surprisingly very, very well versed and well educated on the tech side. So I think it'll be a very easy transition, if I can simply put it. Dispersing of crowd and having single entry points was another point that everybody said, and I think that's a very important aspect, that the lesser crowd you manage is what I'm hearing all of you all say, that the lesser crowd you manage in different units and different entries would be an advisable route, so that we don't have to necessarily crowd in those respective areas if you have the opportunity to disperse them. And training of our staff on an ongoing basis is going to be extremely important, where they manage the hospitality part of being in the retailer side, retail side, and at the same time providing the safety component of it that is there. Amitabh, I think I've tried to cover some of the questions that people have asked as well.
Yes, we have covered almost everything. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bansal. Thank you, Najeeb, for doing a great job. Thanks, Shrirang, as always.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all, everybody. Good day.
Thank you, Najeeb. Thank you all.